Hello and welcome to another episode of Ain't It Scary with Sean and Carrie. I'm the titular Sean.
And I'm the very titular Carrie.
This is generally the show that brings you the unbelievable, the unexplainable, the macabre, and the bizarre and tries to find an answer. Right now, our dedicated listeners will know we're right smack dab in the middle of a 3-part series on the Salem witch trials, which I'm sure you and I know I am very excited to hear the end of.
Absolutely.
This has been an insane month, week, and, well, year, couple of years, for both Carrie and myself, and I'm sure you as well. But this week in particular, our wedding reception is coming up, work's crazy for both of us. We just don't want to shortchange that last chapter of, it's Carrie's favorite story ever, right? So
absolutely.
We want to wait until we can give that episode the time it needs, which is next week. It's not this week, unfortunately. It would have been a truncated version, and that's just not right to do to the victims of that story, right?
Definitely. One of the most important things to me has been spotlighting as many of the people as I can find information on. A lot of the contemporary reports have been lost in the years, including a lot of the trial transcripts themselves. But yeah, we hear about John Proctor a lot because of the Crucible. We hear about Giles Corey because he was pressed to death with stones. Spoiler alert, if you don't know that.
It's a pretty well-known, very good story.
Yes, but what do we know about Sarah Good or Susanna Howe or some of the other victims of the Salem witch trials? What about the people that died in prison and didn't even make it to the gallows?
Right, and we gave, I think if you listen to our episode last week, you'll get the sense that we are, we're going deep into their lives and their experience during this thing.
And by the way, that was Susanna Martin and Catherine Howe, two people who had the same trial date. But yes, so I definitely want to make sure that we cover all of them with due diligence and respect. And it's just been crazy. I was busy hot gluing and tying up boutonnieres, and obviously it's no excuse with our lives, but we didn't want to shortchange the story. So today, what are we doing today?
Well, Carrie, this is arguably the spookiest week in all the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we could give our regular feed listeners a peek at our very themed, kind of spooky content for the Patreon this month, which was the debut of a new little mini-series for our Patreon listeners, right?
Mm-hmm. We came out with our first mini-sode for our Ain't It Kitschy offshoot that only exists on Patreon, and that's covering all things kitschy. So that's everything unique, maybe sentimental, or even a little tasteless to some.
You give the example in the what our audience is about to hear. I think you give the example of Velvet Elvis paintings.
Right. I would love a Velvet Elvis painting, but some would think it's trashy or gaudy.
Or why would that be a thing?
Exactly.
So we could dive into that. Plenty of novelty songs besides the couple of Halloween ones that we covered here. I would love to do. God, I could do endless episodes on novelty songs. Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
But before we toss to that, it is the spookiest month of the year. Carrie, we've watched Under Wraps again.
Yes, well, since our episode, some friends of ours who are also listeners were so intrigued they wanted me to bring over my out-of-print Under Wraps DVD so they could experience it themselves. And they enjoyed it, I think.
The original is not on Disney+.
No, because they just remade it, and they don't want anyone else to find out that it's much better.
And then we watched one of your favorites, Hocus Pocus.
Yes, well, that's just something required every year. For me, at least. I know it's not for you.
I enjoy 2 moments of Hocus Pocus. One is when the 3 witches get on the bus and the bus driver goes, "Boppo, boppo."
He says bubble, bubble.
"Boppo, boppo." Like that guy. And I like when they're at Gary Marshall's house and Bette Midler goes, "He has a little woman."
Yes, you very much enjoy that.
That's a fun line. Other than that, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I know, you like Hot Skeleton Guy.
Well, he was very formative for me. And I'm not talking about Billy Butcherson. I'm talking about the guy singing Witchcraft when the witches go to the town hall party. I think he is very nice.
That song still gets you all aflutter.
Absolutely.
Carrie, what's the best Halloween costume you've ever done?
Ooh, that's actually difficult for me. I have a lot that I really love. Funnily enough, I think my Winifred Sanderson costume was really good. Because this was a few years before they started really going in on the merchandising for Hocus Pocus, and nothing existed in the stores, so I had to make everything myself, including her cloak, which was made out of a heavy green tree little rug that you put under a Christmas tree.
How'd you do the hair?
I made a headband with two buns attached to it with socks made out of socks and tights wrapped around it. And then I wrapped my hair around that. Now you could just get a Winifred Sanderson officially licensed wig, but that wasn't a thing in 2014 or whenever I did this costume.
Oh, how times have changed. What a glorious new age we live in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think our Barbara and Adam costumes from Beetlejuice were really good with Poe as Beetlejuice.
That was inspired ideasmanship from you. They're a couple we love. They're a film couple we love. Poe hated the wig more than anything I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
He hated it more than I hate the Nazis, probably.
Wow. Well, I hope that just means it's a lot.
I saw him take them to trial for war crimes, that wig.
And then I think the stuff that I have to make really handmade is stuff that I'm proud of. My Buffy Prophecy Girl costume from freshman year of high school, and my Silk Spectre 1 costume, Watchmen. Bit of a deeper cut, I would say. My mom made it all from scratch because, again, that one didn't have a costume either.
Yeah.
So I was very proud of all of those costumes.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was going to say about the Beetlejuice one is the only knock against it is we had to buy rubber masks for the heads.
You can do paper
that.
mache and stuff, but we were hosting a party. We were throwing our efforts elsewhere, I think.
Well, and paper mache is not going to look as good.
Yeah.
In any other area, you can handcraft stuff and eventually get to kind of screen perfect looking. Not with clay or paper mache or we're not Tim Burton.
What was your favorite costume?
I think our Frankenstein and Bride was.
I love that too.
Really good, and that was a from scratch costume.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah. All the makeup, certainly. Yours more than mine. Mine was just kind of a white cloak type of thing. I didn't have to do much there, but the makeup, I think I nailed it.
You killed it. You always.
I have done some makeup looks I'm really proud of. I did this this sort of skeletal pumpkin scarecrow look for work one year that even I was impressed that I did that makeup.
Check the Ain't It Scary website. Carrie will put that on the episode page.
And I did a Lady Beetlejuice costume, really on the fly, in a semi-dark hotel room, putting on that makeup, and it looked pretty awesome. So I was proud of that one as well.
Only knock against that, it wasn't gross enough.
Well, it was Lady Beetlejuice. She was a little sexier than, the guy picking worms out of his pants.
She's seen a shower before.
I love. Do you have any other favorites?
Yeah, the first year we met, I did Clint Eastwood from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I got the poncho, the right poncho. I got the right vest. I got it was pretty cosplay level stuff.
It was great. It was before we were doing couples costumes, so we did our Halloween festivities as Clint Eastwood and Pennywise.
It worked for me.
It was very funny. Two characters that would never exist together.
And I won some costume contests with that. I don't know. Most people I know probably haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it is a long movie, so
it's
It's a good movie.
I
It's
mean,
just long.
you guys watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's one of the best ever made. It's not particularly Halloween-y. And one year I did a Civil War ghost before we met, and I think you've seen a picture of it. And I don't know, I did some pretty sweet self-applied makeup, and I put bullet holes in the shirt, and I had some. It was like a pretty a last-minute kind of handmade costume out of the idea, starting from the fact that I had a Union cap. And like, Civil War
Well,
ghost.
you had
That's
the
cool.
most important part that you couldn't make as easily yourself.
Yes, and it ended up being a really cool kind of haunting, no pun intended, costume. So, yeah, Civil War ghost.
I was often the child that was doing a lot of like weird stuff, middle school coming home and mom saying, "Hey, what do you want to be for Halloween?" And I said, "I don't know, like a killer ventriloquist dummy." And bless my parents, they went along with it.
You went to Slappy?
Kind of, yes. There was one unrelated to Halloween birthday party I went to in the 3rd grade where it was like a face paint party at the beach. And, they had someone there doing like butterflies or, princess makeup or whatever. And I decided to take the makeup myself and make myself Frankenstein. So I came home, still wearing like my bathing suit and stuff. It was a beach birthday party in the summer, but I have blood all over my neck and around my wrists because they were like stitched on. And I was like, "Mom, take a picture of me." And again, bless their hearts, they leaned into it.
Look, I'm a suicide.
I came home as Frankenstein while everyone else were butterflies and fairies. And that's not me being a pick-me girl. I look back at that picture and I go, "Wow, I was a weird kid, huh?"
Yeah, you were.
Yes.
You were, and you still are a weird kid, and that's what we love about you, Carrie, me, and the listeners.
Well, thank you.
What's your favorite Halloween novelty song?
Is this going to be a spoiler? I mean, it's the Monster Mash.
Oh, okay. you stick right with the original?
Yeah, I think you can't get more Halloween than that. Thriller might transcend Novelty, but that's obviously an amazing song.
I think that's a dance song. I think that transcends Novelty.
Yeah, even with a Vincent Price intro, which you would think would make it squarely a novelty song, I think it transcends it. But Monster Mash is just Halloween. It's the Halloween song.
It's been played at every Halloween party you've been to.
Mm-hmm.
Which is especially amazing because it kind of sucks.
No.
As a song.
No.
As a piece of kitsch.
It brings me joy, and that's all that counts. Without context, you just sound crazy, Sean. If any of our listeners are looking for other music to listen to this Halloween season, obviously I have a playlist, which I'll be sharing on our page this week. But also, I would recommend the album Dead Man's Bones by Dead Man's Bones. That's, it's an eponymous, I think it's what you call it, an album.
My body's a zombie for you.
It is the best an actor thought he could make an album.
Did you say it was Ryan Gosling's band?
I was about to.
Oh.
Yes, it is Ryan Gosling's band. This is the only album they ever released. I would give my pinky to hear another one of theirs. Once in a while, I'll harass Ryan Gosling on Twitter and say, "Hey, take a break from the movie stuff. I want to hear more music." Probably the only person that's doing that. It's amazing. They released it in either 2010 or 2009. It's like a concept album, and it has a choir of children that are singers from the conservatory that Flea started from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. it shouldn't work, but it does. It's inspired by the Haunted Mansion, and it has a lot of ghoulish sounding children singing.
Yeah,
beautiful music.
The kids are always dropped back in the mix and a ton of reverb, so it's like a bunch of ghost children are singing in the background.
Yes. Every song was done in like 1 or 2 takes, so it feels really, it's not raw, but it feels really like just cool. There's something cool about it, and you can tell that Ryan Gosling really cared about the music, and I love that he's a spooky bitch at heart. So definitely recommend that. It's great for driving around on Halloween.
I'm gonna lose your soul tonight. I'm gonna lose your soul.
Yeah, that's one of them.
I'm gonna roll in a little "Lose Your Soul" tonight here before the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys can enjoy that, and you can enjoy your week until we see you again to really bring things down with part 3 of the Salem Witch Trials.
Well, it'll be a bummer because it's all the executions, but hopefully it'll be informative and entertaining and all that good stuff. Everything that we try to do.
Yeah, so we try to do that each and every week, and hopefully you've enjoyed spending these couple of minutes with us as we've enjoyed spending these couple of minutes actually sitting down.
Yes. Happy Halloween. This is the best time of the year. The veil between worlds is the thinnest, so live it up alongside the dead.
Oh, you're gonna lose your soul tonight. You're gonna lose your soul. You're gonna lose your soul tonight. Oh, you're gonna lose control tonight. You're gonna lose control. You're gonna lose control
Hello and welcome to another Ain't It Scary mini-sode for the spooky month of Halloween. Titular Sean right here.
Titular Carrie over here.
And Caroline, this is an episode we've talked about doing for a long time, but now that we're in the spooky month of October once again, it seemed like the perfect time to do it. So tell the listeners, what is Ain't It Kitschy?
Yeah, so you'll notice that this is a new imprint, so to speak, under our Patreon label.
Sort of the parlophone of Ain't It Scary.
Sure. This is going to be a podcast, well, a Patreon podcast at the very least, about kitschy things. We're going to start with novelty songs, and these that we're speaking of today are Halloween novelty songs.
Of course, for the season.
Of course. But we might talk about other novelty songs down the road and even more novelty items like Velvet Elvis paintings and...
Is that a very specific... Is that a thing?
Velvet Elvis? Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Something to put a pin in for the listeners to look forward to.
They're very quirky, unique items, and it seems to fit with our brand.
They sound quirky and unique. Are they painted on velvet or are they... Never mind. Let's figure it out later.
Okay. Our first episode of Ain't It Kitschy will center around 2 of our favorite Halloween novelty songs, the utterly ridiculous Batman, Wolfman, Frankenstein, or Dracula.
Oh, God. We call these minisodes, but I have a lot to say about Batman, Wolfman, Frankenstein, or Dracula.
The title is so long that we'll need a full episode to talk about it. And this is by the Diamonds. And the absolute classic Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett and the Crypt Kicker 5.
I was working in the lab.
Everyone's heard the Monster Mash.
Of course.
So first we'll do Batman, Wolfman, etc., etc.
Now, Caroline, you're of course, as our listeners probably know, the queen of Halloween. And I want to share that our friends have recently, including Nick and Tara from our sister podcast, Unloaded Questions, right here on the Long Boy Media Network, our friends have started now asking Carrie, like she's the final arbiter of whether something is Halloween. Carrie, is Jack Black Halloween? These are the kinds of questions she's being asked.
Yes, Jack Black is Halloween. If we're just going on a scale of yes or no, Jack Black is Halloween. He is close to Beetlejuice in vibe. and he wears a lot of costumes, and his last name is Black, and we all know that the color black is Halloween.
We should do one of these. An episode
We'll do it
of
with
these
Nick and
every
Tara.
week. Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
so yeah, they've had me also rate completely absurd things on the scale of Halloweeniness, like fabrics and time periods, different other movies that have nothing to do with Halloween.
Non-Halloween holidays.
Exactly. The people in our friend group. So of course I am a big fan of Halloween, and yeah, Sean, you hadn't heard this song before I came thriller dancing into your life.
No, and I was better for it. I was better for not having heard it.
You love it a little bit.
I love it so much. I need to show people this song if I find out they haven't heard it. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. There's no wrong time of year to share Batman, Wolfman, Frankenstein, or Dracula with someone.
It's evergreen.
So I thank you for bringing it into my life, and I am excited to curse our listeners' minds with it now.
I love to take my baby to a movie show, so I can try to smooch her while the lights are low. But she won't cuddle to a story of romance. There's only one way I've got a chance. It takes the Batman, Wolfman, Frankenstein, or Dracula.
Now hold on. Dead stop. First of all, the premise of the song is I'm trying to mac on this girl, but she isn't interested unless there's a horror movie on screen. So the only way I can scam my way into this woman's pants is with some sort of horrific imagery on the screen.
Yes, this song tells the complicated story of a hot and bothered guy who loves taking his girl to the movies, but she will only get horny if they go to horror movies.
But then we get to the chorus, and he's listing ostensibly monsters, and he starts, the number one pick here is Batman. First overall draft in classic monsters. Batman, the superhero from DC Comics.
Yeah, you may be wondering, friends, Carrie, where does Batman, the Dark Knight, Gotham's Prince fit into this?
The world's greatest detective.
Of course. So subtle he is. Even though the character of Batman, as we know it, Bruce Wayne, had been introduced decades earlier in an issue, I think number 27 of Detective Comics in March 1939.
That is exactly right.
I know. This song decided to skip right over that famous and existing character and make it all very confusing by including a Batman on a list of strange horror creatures.
Because then it's followed up with Wolfman.
Right, so this is along with classics, Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula.
You know, you got your Frankensteins, you've got your Draculas.
Right. So
and then but the list isn't over. There's more monsters to come. So let's hear more of this, a little more of this song.
Mm-hmm.
To put her in the mood for love, it takes the cat, girl, dog, boy, creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay. Creature from the Black Lagoon, I have to grant you. That was a classic Universal film of the 50s. Not a very good one.
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing! That's a reference to another podcast. We should try to limit those.
Well, we'll also be talking about it a little later.
We will talk about Comedy Bang Bang later, and we're behind the Patreon paywall. Who cares?
Yes, so Cat Girl, Dog Boy.
So those are not things.
No, these seem more tragic than horrifying.
Like a freak show at
sick experiments.
Like a carnival freak show might have a cat girl and a dog boy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, so let's go back a little bit to the history of this song, and there's not much out there about it.
Oh, can we finish the chorus first?
Sure.
To make her feel like making love, it takes a monster from outer space to make my baby want my embrace. And when I hold her, she's like a dream. If only she can hear somebody scream.
So there
Love
you go.
It's so good. Okay, so.
And then that saxophone, that high saxophone comes in. It's a pretty funky song.
It is. And this is all because of the Diamonds. They were a Canadian vocal quartet originally made up of Dave Somerville, Ted Kowalski, Phil Levitt, and Bill Reed, the Fabulous Four.
But that's the other thing I was thinking, actually. It doesn't hit your ears unlike the other song on our list here. This sounds like an actual band of actual musicians decided to make this song. It sounds like an actual song of the time.
Yeah, well, this group had an astounding 16 Billboard hits between just the mid-50s and the early 60s.
Are there any others we know? Let's put one on.
I don't think so. Their first single, which was also their first hit, was a cover of the famous song Why Do Fools Fall in Love, originally by Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. That would reach number 12 on the charts.
Why do fools fall in love? Why do birds sing so gay? And lovers await the break of day.
So kind of setting aside the falsetto lead you usually hear in that song.
Well, because they were actual teenagers that did the original.
Right. Oh, so you think the Diamonds just couldn't get up there, so they'd knock it
Frankie
down
Lyman
a few
had a
octaves.
historically high voice, which became a problem as he hit puberty and stuff, and it's all very tragic. He died young. Don't want to bring everything down, but yeah, they kind of took it and made it more of like a manly song. It's classic doo-wop.
So there you have it.
Yeah, they're groovy. It's the B-side to their 1959 single Walk in the Stroll that had the improbable song of Batman, Wolfman, Frankenstein, or Dracula.
That's weird too, to put it on an album full of, again, ostensibly normal rock and roll songs.
Yes.
It's not like it was a single that they put out around Halloween.
Yeah, I'm including it here because I just wanted to share it because it's just the epitome of kitsch. But I really have no idea the history of this song. There's not a lot available online as to the background of this little ditty or why the Diamonds decided to record it, but I'm really glad they did. We all needed a song about a girl who gets horny for horror movies.
We certainly did. And God, I wish there was more to say about it, but it enrages me. Where do you think, because as we've established, Batman existed.
Yes.
They just hadn't heard? Do you think they hadn't heard of Batman?
No, I think they had heard of Batman.
Well, then what the fuck?
I don't know. And it's not Bat Space Man, it's Batman.
Clearly Batman.
So
We hear a little space between dog, boy,
yes.
cat, girl, dog, boy.
But like even in the song title, it's Batman, one word. So I don't know. Apparently, it's a reasonable get to buy the rights to the song for a movie because the 2020 Netflix film The Kissing Booth 2.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Booth Harder. Booth, Too Furious.
Electric Boothalooo.
It included this track as a diegetic song being performed at a frankly awesome-looking Halloween party attended by the main character played by Joey King.
Carrie, I need to take this back for a second. I need you to listen to this again. In our pre-production meeting, I was laughing to myself about this, and I wouldn't share with you. I wanted to save it for the show. I need you to hear that what this lead singer in this, I don't know. This is a film from 2020?
Yes.
This band is from 2003.
Sure.
This is from a 2003 band that played at my high school, probably.
Cool.
But I need you to hear that this lead singer says Frankenstein or Dracula.
Please.
He says Frankenstein or Dracula. Can we agree? Frankenstein or Dracula?
I'm going to definitely agree on Dracula.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, here they seem to be going for like a hocus pocus, I put a spell on you situation. And based on the YouTube comments, which are very thirsty, the singer here, Taylor Zakar Perez, awoke many of the young folks watching the movie with his performance in a similar way that I was awoken when I first saw a hot skeleton guy crooning away at Bucktooth Bette Midler in Hocus Pocus.
I think you're in the minority with that man. That
Absolutely not.
The guy hiding behind the skeleton, you can't even see his face. He's
Absolutely
just a skeleton.
Not. We were watching it.
He's wearing a heavy coat. It's not like he's got a bod.
We were watching it at my bachelorette, and the ladies there, the straight ladies there, were like, yeah, he's hot.
What did Nick say?
He was asleep. He was snoring. He had too much to drink.
Fair play to him. Let's talk about the Monster Mash.
Yes, the next is our star of the day, the Monster Mash.
Oh, we all know that intro.
This is how I enter a room.
One of the most recognizable drum beats of all time.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld
I love the
an
piano,
eerie
too.
sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly,
Yeah, it is subtle.
to my surprise, he did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. He did the monster mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom.
Can this be our first dance at our wedding?
You've already asked this so many times, and the answer's still, unfortunately, no.
All right.
So, Bobby Boris Pickett. What year was this?
Yes, this was 1962. Bobby Pickett was living in Massachusetts, fronting a local band called the Cordials, when he and bandmate Leonard Campisi wrote The Monster Mash.
Do we know what kind of music the Cordials was? I mean, can I assume it was just kind of rock and roll of the time?
Yeah, basically this kind of stuff. Which, if you can't tell, friends, I adore this kind of music. I love doo-wop and oldies music.
Carrie prides herself on making playlists in Spotify and stuff. Like it's a hobby. It's something she spends all her time doing. Not
Go
all her
follow
time.
me, Spooky Scary Carrie.
Spooky Scary Carrie on Spotify. She makes great playlists and she puts a lot of time into them. And yet, every time I borrow Carrie's car, it's on Sirius 60s on 6. Every time. It's all you listen to.
Well, that's the auto thing if I don't plug something in. But I love doo-wop music. It just makes me happy. It's serotonin. I need it.
Desperately.
Desperately.
And you actually shared with me earlier a song that they, I don't know about ripped off, but they definitely, you can hear the drum beat from this Dee Dee Sharp song in the Monster Mash, right?
Yes, they wrote the Monster Mash specifically to try and capitalize on the trend of dance crazy songs from the time. You guys probably know the twist. And there's also the mashed potato from the song Mashed Potato Time.
Oh, this slaps.
It slaps hard. Got kind of a Ronettes, early
yeah.
Supremes feel.
Those
so good.
Girl vocal groups of the 60s is the greatest.
So good. And you might not know that song also has a little known follow-up, Gravy, for My Mashed Potatoes.
Oh, shut up. Really?
Yeah. Well,
That's
the twist also has a follow-up called Let's Twist Again. So I wonder if the Monster Mash will have any follow-ups.
Well, there's a difference, though, because obviously the mashed potato song is like it's a dance craze, but it's a dance song. You know what I mean? The twist and Let's Twist Again. That's a dance song. They're following it up with. The Monster Mash is like a parody of a dance song.
It is. It's specifically that.
Surely they wouldn't follow up with something so craven, a cash grab, as a follow up to a parody of a dance craze. That would be insane.
We'll get to that. So Bobby Boris Pickett. Let's talk about him a little bit. Pickett was apparently known for his impression of Frankenstein actor Boris Karloff.
Then why is he always doing this like bad Dracula voice?
Maybe
I was working in
maybe
the lab.
everyone was like, that's a great Boris Karloff. He figured this song would be a great place to use it. He had improvised a Karloff monologue.
Wait, this is supposed to be that Karloff voice?
I think.
Karloff's voice is like super deep and not British.
Well, neither is Bobby Pickett. I don't know.
I was working in the lab. He's got a British thing to him.
It's just monsters. So he had improvised a Karloff monologue during a cover the Cordials did one night of the song Little Darlin' by The Diamonds.
Oh.
And apparently
friends.
the audience just lost their shit. So Pickett and Capizzi thought they should keep it going and put it into an actual song. The cordials themselves weren't used for this song because it was recorded by Pickett and Capizzi with a session band called the Crypt Kickers.
Obviously, that's made up for this
Yes.
session.
And this included pianist Leon Russell and drummer Mel Taylor.
Leon Russell, he's like the seventh Beatle.
There's a lot of extra Beatles. Backing vocalists, interestingly enough, also include Darlene Love, who ended up being a protege of Phil Spector, and we probably know her best from her Christmas songs.
Phil Spector, he's like the ninth Beatle.
I guess. So the Monster Mash was written in less than an hour and recorded in a single afternoon. It became a song about a dance craze, but where the dance itself is never actually spelled out, unlike in a lot of the other dance trend songs at the time. They would tell you, like, put your hand here and then put your leg here. But they are just talking about people, well, monsters doing the Monster Mash in this song.
Right. Now, to be fair, the locomotion, I think, is the same thing. All she tells us is you got to swing your hips, but that's not a specific instruction.
Now, eventually there was an actual dance to go along with the Monster Mash, but it was basically just a variation on the mashed potato, where the footwork was the same, but the Frankenstein-like monster gestures were added, and you would make those with your arms and hands. Everyone knows those.
And everyone can see Michael Jackson doing that dance in the video for Thriller.
Well, he does some of the dance. This was released as the debut single by Bobby Boris Pickett and the Crypt Kickers, and the Monster Mash topped the North American Billboard chart right in time for Halloween 1962. Sean, you'd think the song was all harmless fun, but after it debuted in the UK in the autumn of 62, the BBC actually banned it from the airwaves, calling it too morbid for the radio.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Me too. I don't think anyone dies in it or anything.
Does that
Frankenstein's mentioned.
Does that mean the comedy Bang Bang bit that we're both thinking of, like, is based on truth?
Well, it's based on a truth. Not necessarily the truth. This ban was only lifted in 1973 when the song entered the charts again that year, peaking at number 3. So it was banned from UK radio for a decade.
That's amazing. And then 10 years later, this thing still wasn't like out of fashion enough to it still jumps to number 3 once they were allowed to play it.
It's not the only time the Monster Mash hit the UK charts again. It hit number 60 on the British charts in November 2008. And it seems apropos of nothing, unlike something like Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World becoming a hit because of that movie.
Or Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead hit number 1 in the UK after Margaret Thatcher died.
Yes. I can't really correlate why this happened. Bobby Pickett had a minor hit with the Christmas-themed follow-up called Monsters Holiday in December 1962, which peaked at number 30 on the Billboard chart.
Monsters Holiday. Oh no, I thought he would go on vacation.
Was the night before Christmas when all through the castle my monsters were having a Yuletide hassle. The tree was all trimmed in ghoulish things like werewolf fangs and vampire wings.
It was a monster's holiday.
But they were up to no good.
It was a Monsters Holiday.
Listener,
This is on my Christmas playlist.
Listener, I'm pretty sure I've never heard this before. Wife, you can correct me if I'm wrong and you've played this for me before. I don't think I would have let it play all the way through.
I don't know. We've gone through a lot of monster follow-ups.
It's so offensive.
I love it.
Like he thought no one would notice if literally it's the same drum beat and the same music and the same chorus.
Yeah, why not?
They were up to no good. Didn't act like good monsters should. They'd found themselves a new prey. They planned to rob Santa's sleigh. The mummy was to signal.
You know.
Okay.
So now they're doing like a heist.
We can agree, Arbiter of Halloween, that Christmas is not Halloween, right?
No. That's why Nightmare Before Christmas, sometimes it tends to feel more Christmas to me.
Because any Christmas elements take
cancels-
away
yeah.
from Halloween for you.
Yeah. But there is another follow-up. The B-side to this single was The Monster Motion.
Oh, thank God. So this will be a little more creative, kind of push the envelope in different directions.
No, but it is my favorite follow-up. It is the only other one that is on my 14-hour-long Halloween playlist. It's basically a rehash of the original with a dash of the locomotion.
The last one we just heard was a rehash of the original with a dash of Christmas, I guess.
Well, let's listen.
From beyond the moat, there are
Wait, no, it's still the holiday one. Shit. Get that out of here.
Sean just had a panic attack.
Well, I just flew in from Boris's pad.
Same piano.
I swear that fool.
Same
He's
drums.
going mad. He's locked in his
We've
lab,
changed narrators, though.
counting his cash that he made on his dance called the Monster Mash.
Come on, you monster, do the monster motion.
Frankie and Igor are here with me. The Mummy and Wolfman both came to see. Transylvania swings from the loud commotion that's caused from doing my monster motion. All the monsters.
Okay.
So this one is less egregious to me because it feels like a let's twist again, like, you know, that natural kind of, remember when everyone was twisting? Let's twist again. You know?
For anyone who somehow doesn't know that song,
I prefer it to the twist.
yeah, I actually do too. But it is crazy that they both exist because
But Gravy for My Mashed Potatoes exists. Like the follow-up song to a dance song is a thing.
right. Anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, look up The Twist and Twist Again.
Let's twist again.
Let's Twist Again. Do the Twist and Let's Twist Again, both by Chubby Checker.
A take on Fats Domino, which I didn't realize till I was way too old.
Who makes their name a parody? Again, it's not like he was a parody artist.
I love it though. So these were later followed by further monster-themed singles like Me and My Mummy, Blood Bank Blues, Werewolf Watusi, and The Monster Swim.
Oh, can we dig into the monster motion a little bit? So is that Drac alluded to, and by the way, I hate when Boris Pickett calls Dracula Drac all the time.
It's
that's an accepted
Bob
nickname.
De Niro, you know?
Oh yeah. When me and Drac were on
Marty
the set,
Scorsese.
you know, he always tells you to call him Drac on the set, so I can't help it. I have to call him Drac now. You know, when I was on the set with Drac, it's all business, and he took me through the craft. So I hate that, but it sounds like Drac is stepping in for Boris Pickett. He alludes to Bobby being like.
There's definitely
Boris
a
being-
mythology here, and I appreciate that.
So now Drac is stepping out on his own and kind of trying to get his own dance going. That's what I get from that song.
Yeah.
It was more of a musical departure than The Monsters Holiday, which is a one-for-one rip of the original.
Yeah, and The Monster Swim is rough. I think we've actually heard that one.
We have, and we're not going to play it.
No, it's too rough.
No, it's terrible. Just know that Boris Pickett also recorded The Monster Swim, and it's what you think it is.
In 1974, the original Monster Mash was somewhat remixed by Buck Owens, and that one too re-entered the North American Billboard chart at number 6. It came back again at 25 in 2012 and hit the 20s during most years between 2005 and 2017 on the digital song sales chart.
Well, that's pretty late.
Yeah.
That's
just the most recent data I could find about the Monster Mash. It might do it every Halloween.
that's when digital media was still kind of young and everyone had to buy the Monster Mash. Now they all have it.
I don't know. The amount of times I play the Monster Mash during Halloween season, I probably am single-handedly at fault for keeping it on the digital chart.
You might push it to number 20 solo, yeah.
The 80s brought the world the rap and hip-hop craze, and with that, we were exposed to the monster rap.
When you say it's a craze, it sounds like like it's a fad.
It was a craze in that all these people were trying to do hip-hop that shouldn't have been trying to do hip-hop.
100%. Tom Jones.
Brian Wilson.
Wham.
Oof. This is a sequel to The Mash, where the mad scientist is trying to teach his dancing monster to talk, but only succeeds in getting him to rap.
I haven't heard this, but I'm anticipating it to be cringy. Oh, familiar territory. Oh, something a little different. I have to say, I love how different it is.
Working in the lab late these nights with eyes grown used to 80 sights, I created a monster who could dance and walk, but I couldn't teach him how to talk. My faithful assistant, that hunchback fool who wastes his time in DJ school, says,
Have to get him, don't be a sap. Deep degrees of the monster rap.
you gotta shock the body, 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 shock.
Do you think it got more embarrassing or less embarrassing when it got to the shock the body hook? I know you love a pun.
It's tough. This one didn't chart. I don't know why.
Oh, no?
You know, I appreciate that, like, the whole song is a rap, basically. He's like, well, I just talked through the first song, so...
Well, again, it's easy to laugh at an old, tired, lame white guy trying to cash in on the hip-hop craze or fad, as you call it, Carrie.
It was
I know you're
a
mad at these young people
craze.
and their sagging pants.
The craze was other people doing hip-hop that shouldn't be.
Yes, no, I know. I granted. So it's one thing for him to jump on and do that. I understand. It's one thing to make fun of that. But let's accept that this is technically more creatively worthwhile than anything he's put out since the original Monster Mash.
That's tough, babe.
At least it's a different drum beat.
Well, yet another follow-up, The Monster Slash, was released in 2004 with lyrics changed to... What do you think this was about? Before I tell you.
It's really tough. Monster Slash, 2004. It could be full of guitar solos from the guy from Guns N' Roses.
Slash.
I think that's his name, something like that. Or it could be about like Jason and Freddy, if they bring in Jason and Freddy. Or it could be about like sexual fan fiction. Or maybe it's about Dracula and Frankenstein having sex with Freddy and Jason, and then it's all of those things. And Slash.
That is all wrong. It is about critiquing George W. Bush's environmental policies.
What?
Let's listen.
We were hiking in the forest late one night when our eyes beheld an eerie sight. Our president appeared and began to frown. Then he and his friends cut the forest down. They did the forest slash. It was
So
Okay,
you would
Bobby.
think it's a monster slash,
Yeah,
but
why-
he calls it a forest slash
Why on earth would the song not be called Forest Slash?
because
Then no one would
no
know
one
what it
would
was.
know it was a monster slash.
Well, Bobby looks rough here, and he sounds rough. He sounds tired. Someone should give him a break.
I wonder what kind of song he would come up with today.
Do you feel, if someone writes the Monster Mash, do you think he should get to put his feet up for the rest of his life? Like,
Absolutely.
never work another day?
Absolutely. For just the amount of pure joy that song has brought me, absolutely.
Do you think he needs to work? Why put out the one about burning the trees down?
I think people probably approached him for that one, and he was like, yeah, I like trees.
Okay, why do the rap one in the 80s?
That's just...
Surely
It's just silly.
the royalties never stopped on the Monster Mash. Stop trying to get your second bite at the apple, Bobby.
Well, aside from songs, the Monster Mash inspired an actual musical movie, Monster Mash, released in 1995 and starring Bobby Pickett himself.
I'm still not going to watch it, Carrie.
Sean,
Actually, I do want to watch that.
you might not believe this, but it was written and directed by the co-writers of Toy Story, Joel Cohen and Alex Sokolow.
Okay.
And it co-starred Candace Cameron of Full House and Hallmark movie fame.
Now I'm in.
The movie itself sounds kind of like a ripoff of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where a teenage couple on their way home from a Halloween party experience car trouble and have to take refuge at, well, the Frankenstein place. I desperately want to see it.
Rocky Horror ripoff only in that it is
I mean, the
a
premise,
musical. I mean, yeah, but that premise is supposed to be just a super
Right.
generic horror premise.
But I'm sure, is Bobby Pickett in this situation the Frankenfurter? Does he bang both of them? Oh, I gotta know. I gotta know.
Based on what we know about the Monster Mash, it probably will be a little less hypersexual.
Oh, yeah. The Monster Mash itself has appeared everywhere, especially around Halloween, and in pop culture from The Simpsons to covers by The Misfits and The Beach Boys. And as we alluded to earlier, there's even a running joke on the Monster Mash on one of our favorite podcasts, Comedy Bang Bang, where each year comedian Nick Weiger will show up in character as a co-writer of the song named Leo Carpazzi. Now, this will add to your enjoyment because I think that's meant to sound like Leonard Capizzi, the actual co-writer of the Monster Mash.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, of course
So
it
he
is.
did his homework.
Yeah, Nick Weiger's very well researched on this. And even the fact that, like, when you listen to the Monster Motion and it's just the same beat comes in again. It's a very funny, it's a very smart satire on Boris Pickett's actual career.
Yes, and each year he tricks Scott Aukerman into letting him play a new song, but it's just a version of the Monster Mash. And this is what he says are the original lyrics to the Monster Mash, which are laced with profanities.
He references that controversy we mentioned earlier. He says that the lyrics were considered too intense
Too
and frightening.
sexual.
Well, no, he says they were too intense and graphic for audiences. And then he
They're
sings a song
graphic.
called The Monster Fuck.
Yes, it's called the Monster Fuck. It's the best.
For my monster from his slab began to rise when suddenly, to my surprise, his trousers dropped right to the floor. With his bottom bare, he ran to the door. I said, Frankenstein, what's gotten into you? He said, my dick is hard and I need to screw.
He did the fuck,
He did the monster fuck.
the monster fuck.
It was a graveyard fuck.
He did the fuck,
That monster sucked and fucked.
he did the fuck.
He did the Monster Fuck Part 7, Haunted Car. From my laboratory, I heard quite
I love how it's mash rhymes with smash. That's why they did that. But it's just fuck rhymes with fuck here. That's all they needed.
Yes.
They did the monster fuck. It was a graveyard fuck.
It was a graveyard.
He did the fuck.
It's you heard him say it's part 7 Hauntica because he insisted that time that it was a holiday song he was bringing on and not
Yes.
Not the
he always
monster
has
fuck
to
again.
trick Scott, but it always ends up being the monster fuck.
Oh, what are you guys doing listening to this? You should listen to Comedy Bang Bang.
As Steve Greenberg wrote for Billboard, quote, I can't think of another example in pop culture of a parody so outliving and outshining its inspirations that people no longer even remember it was ever intended to be a parody.
What, the monster fuck?
Monster Mash. Though we lost Mr. Bobby Boris Pickett to cancer in 2010, his spirit and a bunch of monsters live on.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Of course, another episode coming next Thursday, and I think we might have another cheeky little minisode coming next week if we can pull it off. So we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.